will be monitoring the chat for us and be able to answer your questions. All right, so we are going to talk about some assignments and what that looks like in the gradebook. So first thing to note is that in Canvas, the gradebook is built by the assignments. So whatever you create that has a grade attached to it, whether it's an assignment, a quiz, or discussion, then that becomes a column in the gradebook. and as you go, your gradebook will get built out by those. So we're going to start with, in particular, we're going to start with assignments today. So when you go to your assignment page, you'll notice at the top you have groups, assignments, and some 3 dots. So the groups icon allow you to create assignment groups, and these assignment groups are a great way to weight your grades. So for example, my quizzes are worth 10%, my assignments are worth 25%, I have 2% for participation, those kind of things. You can build those out with groups, and then you will put your graded activities into those groups as needed. So quizzes and quizzes, assignments and assignments, that kind of thing. Underneath the 3 dots is where you'll actually open up the weighted assignments once you've got your groups created. And you'll be able to see and change your scores here. And yes, you can put negatives in. I did that just because I thought it was interesting. But you'll need to check the box and save it. And then that will give you your groups here. So to create your first group, you just hit the plus group icon and go ahead and title it whatever you want. And if you know that you're going to do percentages, you can put that in here. Or I would suggest go ahead and create all of your groups and then go ahead to the weighted groups and put them all out so that you make sure everything adds up to 100% down here at the bottom. All right, once you start creating stuff, you'll need to put them into the groups. That makes sense. And so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and create our first assignment. So you hit the blue plus assignment button in the upper right-hand corner there. And this will pop open, and this will look very familiar throughout Canvas. You'll get the same kind of view when any graded activity, whether it's a discussion, a quiz, or assignment. So you want to go ahead and give it a title. And here's where you will put directions. And you can put many things in here, so I'm going to show you a few. You can put in a table, so you can quickly draw out like a 2x2 table, and you can have the information in here. All right, you can put in hyperlinks. So if you know what your hyperlink is going to be, you can paste it in here. So I'm going to put in the training link and put it there. Now, once you've created a link, you can always break it or come and click the link again and edit it and update it. We can embed images. So if you click on image here, you'll be able to put the URL of an image if it's specific to the internet. Definitely want to put in alt text. If you have the file uploaded to Canvas, your image file, you can click on the courses file and go and find the image that you're looking for. If you haven't uploaded it yet, you can click on Canvas and upload the file straight into Canvas here and update, and so that'll drop the image in. You can do math equations, and I'll just show you what that looks like. I'm not going to draw out one, but you can put all these different symbols in and the things that you might need. But once you create the equation, it turns it into a picture. You can upload videos from YouTube. So if you have something that you know of that you want to put in there, you can embed that using the embed code from YouTube. Or you can come in here and choose this, search for something. Like if you wanted to search for puppies, you could search YouTube for all the puppy videos. So it's kind of neat, but it will keep you looking around for a long time. So if you've already found it on YouTube, I would definitely use the embed code that you can get from YouTube and then come bringing it in here. This blue chevron right here is all of our Lti plugins. So if you have a box, a file in box that you want to link to, you can click on box. If you've uploaded videos or created videos with Panopto, you can open Panopto. It'll open up all the videos that you have for the course. You'll choose it and insert it. and it will insert the video right in the box. You can record your own media if you want. If you give it permission to your video and microphone, you could record a quick introduction. This would be like a way to say, speak out the directions as opposed to typing them out if you wanted to. Or if you're in world languages or performing arts, you could give a demonstration of the language or a demonstration of the move or dance and record it right into Canvas here. All this other stuff here is formatting, font size, font styles, bold, italics, left align, all that good stuff that can make your directions exactly the way you want them to look. You'll notice the last thing is all the stuff on the right-hand side. So if you already have files in Canvas, you can click on Files and link straight to them. If you have images uploaded to Canvas, you can click straight on them. I like this link thing. It's pretty neat. Like if you wanted to say, look back at this and you're referring to a page that you created inside Canvas, you can go to Pages and then link to that just by simply clicking on it, and it'll put a hyperlink right in there and it'll jump the students to whatever that was you have in Canvas. All right, and so we'll go on down here. In the assignment, you want to go ahead and assign it whatever you're going to give it for points. But you'll notice here in the display grade as, you have the ability to assign a percentage. You can do complete, incomplete, but that will basically give you all or nothing. You either get all the points or 0 points. Points is the most common, any kind of scale you want there. Letter grade and GPA scale will require you to create a grading scale, a grading schema of your own. So you'll need to be prepared to create your own GPA scale to tell Canvas what it's going to be and that kind of thing as necessary. You can always do a not graded assignment, something that's just to kind of test where your students are at or see where their head is at. And see where that goes. So I'm going to leave this at points. I'm going to go ahead and change the points to 100 here. And we talked about those groups earlier. So like your assignments maybe worth 50 points or 10 points or that kind of thing. And you'll want to be able to put that in the right section. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in assignments. And the box down here that says do not count towards the final grade, that will show you, that'll put everything, it'll still allow you to grade them and provide feedback and all that kind of good stuff, but it won't count the grade as part of their final score, so it won't be included in the denominator. Okay, submission type. No submission would be, for example, if you were doing something in class, but for the sake of our arguments moving forward and what we're doing right now, online is probably the most common. This will allow you to do a text entry, and a text entry will be pretty much this rich content editor right here. They'll get a box just like this and be able to type in, put pictures in, all that kind of stuff, record. They could even record videos and put those in there. A website URL is exactly that. It's just a blank where they can copy and paste a URL. Media recordings is just letting the student know that you're specifically asking for a media recording. They could upload one, or they could use that same recorder I showed you earlier to record directly into Canvas. And the most common probably is file uploads. And this is where you can get, documents, PDFs, Excel files, all that kind of stuff. If you want to restrict it and you tell them specifically, I want a doc file, you can put in DOC, DOCX, and it will only let students upload files with those extensions on the end. Again, that's a personal call if you want to use that or not. If you do upload files here and you want to run them through Turnitin, this is where we're going to run our plagiarism review. So we only use Turnitin, so we're going to choose that. Now all these settings that come up, they're pretty much the default. You really don't need to change them. The only thing you'll want to change is the repository. So the standard repository is just that. They submit the paper goes into the database, not only to be checked, but as a paper to be checked against later. So this is really important to note, because if you're having them do a rough draft, you do not want to store submitted papers, because when they come in to do their final draft, it would come back as almost 100% plagiarized because it would be checking it against itself. So just make sure your standard repository is the default answer. So if it's a rough draft, you want to change it to do not store.
Can I interrupt briefly?
Did you say something?
Yeah, can I interrupt briefly? Okay. If you copied over assignments or other things from another course, an old one, and you've used the old Turnitin tool, please go from the external tool back to file upload and use this Turnitin. The old tool will be removed at some point in the near future, and you want to be able to use the new one that's actually embedded in it, not the old tool. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let me show them what that looks like.
Okay.
So if you've used Turnitin since the very beginning, you had external tool listed here, and then there was this whole URL listed there. Now it's still working right now, but when you roll that over every term, it's not changing. We will be removing that external tool, and which means your assignment will break if you're using the old one. So you'll want to come in, make it online, file upload, and use Turnitin like this. Again, if you need help with that later, you can always submit a ticket to the help desk and we'll help you out. All right, so since we're talking about external tools, I'll show you a few other ones. So if you click find here, you'll get to see all of the LTIs that we have targeted in here. This will come in. You could use this if, for example, you use McGraw-Hill and you use their supplements to your course. You could link directly to them. You could use for example, Panopto. And the reason Panopto could be an assignment is because Panopto has the ability to create a video quiz. So what they'll do is you'll add questions to the quiz at certain points in the video, and students will be paused and they'll be asked to answer the question, and they'll need to answer the question, and then they can move on in the video. And if you, let's say you make this assignment worth 100 points, but you only put 4 questions in this little video quiz in Panopto, Canvas will do the math for you. So if they get 2 out of 4 questions right, they'll only get 50 points. So that's how you would use Panopto. Play Pause It is a similar thing. It's a video tool that allows you to add interactions on top of the video. You can add quiz questions and make a quiz. You could add polling questions. You can add just quick notes or point things out in the video, allow commenting and that kind of thing. So Play Pause It is an interaction tool on top of videos.
Some of these tools do not apply to assignments, and one of them specifically is lockdown browser. So be careful of that.
Yeah, only use the external tools that you know are specific to this area. And if you're ever in doubt, of course, contact the help desk and let us know, and we will help you out. So I'm going to go back to online submission. You can do group assignments. If you check group assignments here, you can choose to add grades to students individually. So even though they're doing it in a group, you may ask them to tell them what they contribute, what part was their contribution, and you can grade them individually. Or if you leave this unchecked, whenever you give a grade to one of the people who submits the homework, then it will go to all of the people in that group. If you've already set up a group, you will see them listed here, so you can select the group set and move on. If you need to set up groups for the first time, you'll need to click on New Group Category, and then you can set up the student groups. When you set up the student groups, it's exactly what you kind of think it is. You would set up how many groups you need, and then you could say, hey, Canvas, automatically put 4 people in each group for me, or divide them evenly, or you could set up the groups and then drag the names over to the groups individually and set them up manually. So I'm going to uncheck this for now. Peer reviews. You could come in here, you check this box here, and the default is to automatically assign peer reviews. So you could say every student needs to peer review 2 other students, and the reviews are due by Friday at 5 p.m. So I could put that in there, and you can choose to make the peer reviews anonymous so that the students can't see the name of the other peer that reviewed them. I'll uncheck that. If you have TAs in your class, you can make the grading anonymous, as well as you can do it for yourself. it'll hide the students' names, and you cannot see, which student you're grading. You're just looking at their work. Last, this is a sign box, and the default, most people don't pay attention to this too much, but the default is to everyone in the class. And you can, of course, set your due date. So again, we'll set this at Friday at 5 p.m. But you also have these available in until dates. If you leave these blank, students can get in whenever they want, and they can submit whenever they want. It'll be late, but they can submit after the fact. So maybe you want to corral that and say, okay, well, if it's due on Friday, I'll let them submit till Sunday at midnight. And it'll still be marked as late, but they can still get in. But I don't want them to get in too far ahead of time just during this week. So I'm going to mark it at the 16th at 8 a.m. If you want to not accept late assignments, like it's due when it's due and then they're cut off, you can always copy this and paste it into the until box, and so they match, or you can always hit the calendar icon and click on it and make sure it matches. This means that they cannot submit anything after March 20th at 5 p.m. That's the cutoff date. You'll also notice this other little add button down here, and this allows you to add different due dates for different groups of people. So say, for example, you've cross-listed your courses and you have multiple sections in here. You have a Monday, Wednesday class and a Tuesday, Thursday class. You may want to have a due date for Monday, Wednesday. You may want to do on Wednesday, but the Tuesday, Thursday class, their assignment will do on Thursday. So you can trade this out. So I'm going to close this, take off everybody, and I'm going to say this section is due on the 20th, and then I'm going to add this and say this section is due on the 21st at 5 p.m. And then I can also say everyone else is due on the 23rd, or I can say instead of everyone else, I will choose the other section, the third section I have in this course. So they have 3 different due dates. Another example of how this might work is if, say, you have a student who's in athletics and misses class, well, you could set that student to be due on the 20th, and then you could set everyone else, theirs was due on the 19th. So that's how you could do differentiating due dates for different students. All right. Lastly, you're going to have save and publish. Now, save is kind of like a draft. It'll save it, but it's kind of grayed out and the students can't see it. And this is if you're, want to come back and work on this later, that kind of thing. Save and publish will automatically save this and publish it to students so that they know there's a new assignment and they'll be able to click on it and do it, unless you have these dates set here, in which case they will know that there's a new assignment and they'll be able to see the dates that it's due, but they can't get in until the 16th at 8 a.m. All right. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this for the sake of argument today, because I have a bunch of assignments created already. So if it's published here, you'll notice that it's got a little green, the icon is green, and you can see the published icon here. If it's not published, you'll notice that it's grayed out, and there is it's not green, it's got a line through it. If you click it, it'll change to publish, and you can always unpublish up until students have submitted homework. Once they've submitted homework, then you can't unpublish it for record keeping sake. With an assignment, you always have options down here at the end. But 2 of the newest features are send to and copy to. Copy to allows you to copy this assignment to another course that you might have. So say you're teaching a section 5 and a section 6, and you've kept them separate. You did not cross-list them. You could copy this over to your other course easily by clicking copy to, and then you would be able to choose your other course to copy it to. If, for example, you're working in your department and you show another colleague your assignment, and he's like, "Man, that's great! Would you be willing to share?" And you're like, "Yeah, why not?" So you could send to, and then you could type in your colleague's email address, the SMU email address, and send it to them. And a little bit later, underneath their profile icon, they would see a little sign, a number 1 here, that lets them know they've got a new notification. When they click on that, they could go down to shared content and find the assignment that you've shared with them and import it into their course. So it's a nice, easy way to copy it to another course or to share to a colleague. With these assignment groups and within the assignment groups, you'll see these little handles here, and you can drag these around so that you can put these assignments in any order you want, as well as the assignment groups. You can move them around to put them in whatever order you want. All right, so as you've created assignments, discussions, graded discussions, quizzes, that kind of thing, it builds out your gradebook. So if we go into our gradebook, we'll get a list of our students on the left, and I've moved my total column to the front. Yours will probably be at the far right. If you click this, you could say move to end or move to front, and that would move your total column around. Your notes column is an extra column you can add. I've added it here just so we can see it. But then here you'll notice that we have grades and we have all your assignments listed out for the course. And so you'll see some of these have icons. This is for turn it in. Lets me know whether they're plagiarism, and I can click on it and find out more information. You'll notice that these have all been marked as missing. That's why they're red. And then down the end, you'll see subcategories. So if your assignment categories, right, we've got a quiz category, a quizzes.next category, a migrated quiz category. These are subtotals. And then you have your actual total. And then you have the ability, and I'll show you where these settings are in a second, to create a grade override. And what this does is it adds a column at the end where I can come in and I can say, well, this student really got a 75, and it'll put in the C, and you can notice that the grade was saved. And that's just a way, like, for example, you get that student hovering on an 89.4, but they were trying really hard. They came into office hours and worked with you. They put in extra effort, and you want to go ahead and give them that bump to a 90. Then you could do that there. Now, the Canvas gradebook is not the official gradebook of SMU yet, and so none of this is holding all. You still need to put your final grades into MySMU at the end. All right, so I'm just going to run through the settings. So when you come into your gradebook, you'll notice at the top that you have gradebook listed here. There are actually 3 different gradebooks inside Canvas. This is the main gradebook, which most everybody uses. But you also have a Learning Mastery gradebook. And if I click on that, this is if you use outcomes. So if you're teaching a UC course and you have outcomes attached to your course, or maybe your department is tracking outcomes and you have outcomes attached, you can come in here and you can look and see all the scores from your students according to their outcome. And if you roll over their outcome, you'll be able to see a breakdown of how the class is doing. And to change the view again, you got to go up here to where it says Learning Mastery, and you can change it back to Gradebook. Note that this view will stick. So if I change this to Learning Mastery, the next time I come back into my gradebook, it'll still be in Learning Mastery. So you'll have to change the view again. The last one is fairly new, and that's the individual view. When you get in here, you can break this down for your entire class, or if you have cross-listed this course, you can look at a particular section. You can sort it by assignments or in alphabetical or by due date, whichever makes more sense to you. And you have options here to, whether you want to. Now, this is a misnomer. So treating ungraded as 0. So what that means is if you haven't given them a grade yet, Canvas will show it as a 0. But it will only show you the 0, not the student, because you haven't officially given a grade yet to the student. So it's just kind of a mask that fills in the blanks. You can hide student names if that's important. Go through those settings there, and you can always download a CSV if you like to work in Excel, and that makes more sense. So the content selection allows you to look at a particular student. So we're going to look at this student here. And down here, you'll see a breakdown of the different subcategories. Remember, we created the assignment groups. So here's the testing group, and that's how they're doing. And the assignments, they're failing. That's 52% of the grade. So you come down here and you can see their final grade and how they're doing. This is a really great view to, if you have a student coming in for office hours, or you're going to meet them online in Zoom, you can share the screen and show them how they're doing in the course. And that way you're not looking at the entire grade book and sharing other grades as well. But if you don't want to, and you want to look at the next student, you just click next, and it'll go to the next student, and so on and so forth, and you can just cycle through the students. Or if you don't want to look at students, you want to look at a particular assignment, I could come in and choose the assignment I want to look at, and it breaks the assignment down, and it tells you the average score of the assignment, you know, the highest score and lowest score, that kind of thing. You could download all of the submissions for those assignments. So if you had them all upload Word documents, you could download them all right there. And then this neat little feature down here that says message students who. So when you click on this, you'll be able to message students who haven't submitted yet. And you notice it pre-populates with all the students who haven't submitted an assignment yet or haven't been graded yet. Scored less than is pretty neat because you could say, okay, anyone who scored less than a 5, they didn't really do so well. You know, you need to, and you can tell them exactly what they need to do. Or you can give accolades to people who scored great. So anybody who scored above a 10, you know, you can just tell them good job. It's just a nice way to provide feedback, get a little bump from their instructor. You can set a default grade, and this is an interesting little tool. So if you've gotten most of your assignments done and done most of your grading for this particular assignment, you can come in here and set the default grade to a 0. So anyone who hasn't submitted yet, now you know you're marking it as done, they get a 0. Be careful of this option here, because if you save this option and overwrite all the scores, then all the grading you've done will turn into a 0. So this is only great if, like, say you know the assignment got messed up, or you know, because we're only doing these 2 weeks, you know, things are chaotic. You could give everyone a full 10 points for participation if it was that kind of assignment. So you could do that all at once instead of having to enter a 10 for everyone. Okay, and the last thing is curve grades. So you can see that the highest score was a 20, the lowest was a 0, and the average was a 7. Well, if I want to push this up a little bit, I could go to curve grades, and I could say, well, what would it be if the average score was a 8? And so you can see how the bar graph changes, and it'll curve the grades. But it is, you can assign a 0 to unsubmitted students, which will help the curve make more sense. But it is important to note that the curve cannot be undone. You can't come in here and undo this. The best thing you could do is the best you could do is come in here after the fact and, okay, well, the average was 6.42 and kind of curve it back, but you're curving a curve at that point. So it's really important that you're sure that you want to do this before you actually click the curve grades button. Alrighty, so I'm going to go back to the gradebook. Oh, I guess the last thing I should show you is gradebook history. This will allow you to look and see the grade changes. So if you accidentally changed everybody's grade to a 0, you could come in here and you could see that before it was an 84 before I turned it into a 0. So then you can at least look and see what the grade was and kind of fix the grades. If a student calls you and said, hey, I thought I had an A on that, you could look at that particular student. So if I want to find that student and filter that, I could filter by that student. And again, this is a good screen to be able to share with students in one-on-ones. And if they're talking about a particular assignment, I could look at that particular assignment and that particular student and see the grade changes for that student, you know, when I might have changed it. Or if you have TAs, it would tell you the TA changed the grade. So you can always look at that. All right, so we'll go back to grades and go back to the typical gradebook. And so we've been through the different gradebook views, and remember those stick, so you'll need to change back if you want to get back to this view. We'll go into view now. You can arrange, and this is the default order, but you can arrange your assignments in alphabetical order or by due date, which is kind of nice, so you don't have to scroll all the way to the end, towards the end of the semester to do your grading. You can do it by points if you're just curious. You want to see who does what when, you know, the highest scores. And you can do it by modules. So if you're in the previous session, we arranged our courses by modules, you could do the modules here and do first by last and see them in chunks, which may make more sense to you because you've arranged them in a certain order. These will also stick. So if if you arrange them in alphabetical order, when you come back, they will still be in alphabetical order. You can filter, so you can look at assignment groups and only look at those subtotals. You can sort them by modules, or you can look at individual sections, or even student groups if you've set up group assignments. The statuses, this allows you to change the color for the different statuses. So if they're late, maybe blue isn't the right color. Maybe you want more like a yellow, kind of a peachish. Missing is red, that kind of makes sense. Resubmitted, maybe that one should be blue. They dropped out, so kind of a gray color. And if you've excused it, they're good to go. So I'm going to change that to green. And I click done. And then anything that you might have tagged with that particular object, or they were late because they passed the due date, then it would auto-populate a color there that you set it for. And then the last is I turned on that notes column. You can see it there. It's a place where you can just type whatever you want to type in. Unfortunately, there's only one notes column. It's not like per assignment. So it'd be more of overarching kind of notes, but only you can see those notes. This one's kind of sketchy. You can look at unpublished, hide unpublished assignments or show unpublished assignments. But sometimes if you don't show them, you'll forget they're there and forget to publish an assignment. So I don't really mess with that setting too much. Under Actions, this is a way to import and export your assignments. When you export them all, you'll get like a CVS copy of this grid basically in Excel. And you can keep a copy for your records. That's what I highly recommend at the end of a semester. But some people really want to work on the gradebook in Excel, and you can export this, put all the grades in that you want, and mess with those numbers, and then import it. Now, as long as you haven't changed the name of a student or the name of an assignment or anything like that, you've only changed grades, it will import and then overwrite and change any of the grades that you've changed in the Excel document. Last is this gear icon down here. If you hit the gear icon, you'll be able to set your late policies. And this is part of the new gradebook, and I really like this one. And so you can check the automatically apply a grade for missing submissions. So this is a great way to go ahead and put that 0 in for all of your assignments, so that if anyone has not turned in an assignment, then they get a 0. And this keeps the grade book correct, because at the end of the semester, we often get phone calls that says, the student has a C, but I know they're failing the class. Like, what's wrong with the grade book? And chances are it's because they didn't turn in an assignment, or maybe it's a missing assignment that you haven't entered a 0 yet because you haven't set it as a default. So Canvas removes that assignment from the final grade because Canvas has no idea if you want to count it, if you don't want to count it, did you miss a grade, whatever it is. So it doesn't include it in the denominator when doing the math. By checking this box and getting everyone a 0 for missing assignments, then that you skip all that mess and everyone gets a 0 who didn't turn in homework. When you count things late, if you remember, we were talking about assigning them. So if it was due on Friday, but you made the assignment available till Sunday so that they could submit late, you can come in here and say automatically deduct so much of the assignment per day or per hour even. So they could get a 5% deduction for every day they're late. And the lowest they could go is a 0. And you can set those settings there and click Update. Now the grade posting policy here, this is the overarching posting policy for your entire course. Meaning, when you're grading assignments, if you want to automatically post grades, that means as you're grading, say you started with me and you got like, okay, I got a 10 out of 15, that's great. The moment you go to the next student and that grade is submitted to Canvas, I will get a notification that you've graded my homework and I got a 10 out of 15. That may be okay, and that is the default, but you can come in here and set the entire course to be manually posted, which means none of the grades are released until you tell that assignment, okay, now post all the grades to the students. Now, this might be really good, especially if you teach a language class, for example, and you have a lot of papers. You know, you're not going to sit down and grade these papers all at once. You may grade some on Friday, some on Saturday, some next Tuesday, and you don't want all the students to be like, oh, I already got my grade back, and then get emails from students that, why haven't mine been graded? Did you not get it? The manually post grades will allow you to grade at your leisure and then go back and say, okay, now release all the grades to the students at one time for that assignment. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. And then the last one is advanced, and this is where I was able to create that override column at the end of the gradebook that allows me to bump students up and down and give them a little push or drop them down if they didn't turn in assignments, whatever. This just allows you to do that override. And again, this is totally arbitrary. It is totally up to you if you want to include this column, but it will show to the students. So I'm going to go ahead and say update. So if I had set my course to manually release grades, right? All of my assignments, I have to release them when I'm ready. All of these would have the word manual listed right here. It would be in big bold letters. If I've done individual assignments, like I think it used to be called muting, right? So if I've muted this assignment, the students can't see it until I'm ready to release it. Whether it's manual or muted, I'll need to come in here and click these three dots and say, okay, post the grades. And then that will release the grades, all the grades I've recorded at the time to all of the students for that assignment. Okay. So underneath these dots here for this particular assignment, these dots only refer to this assignment, not the whole gradebook. Everything we were doing before this applied to the entire gradebook. So I can sort the students low to high or grades high to low. I can sort it by missing. If I've got a huge list of students here, I might want to just put all the missing students at the top so I can see who's missing or late. Again, here comes in that neat little feature, message students who. So I can click this and I can message all the students who haven't submitted yet and be like, guys, you're already late. Do you want to get a 0? Or I can message students who haven't been graded, and that might be a different subcategory because they might be athletes who are due later or something like that. And again, the score less than, they failed, I want to talk to them, or they did really well and I want to give them accolades. All that's available right there. There's the curve grade option we saw earlier. And again, you would only curve this assignment as opposed to the entire gradebook. Right? On the individual view that we saw earlier, we were curving for that particular assignment as well because we had curved. We were looking at an individual assignment. We have the set default grade. So you'll see some of these options are mirrored because we were looking at individual assignments earlier as well. And then we could hide grades. So if we started to grade and we thought, oh man, like it's going to take me forever to grade these, I should hide these so that not all this, the students can get all the grades at once. I could hide them individually, and that's when you get that little eyeball icon that you see right here that used to be called mute assignments. It's now called hide grades. So that would allow me to hide the grades until I'm ready to release them, but just for this particular assignment. Whereas the setting that we were looking at earlier in the gear icon was for the entire gradebook, not just a singular assignment. So you can download the submissions. This one's testing PowerPoint, right? So if everyone submitted a PowerPoint to me, I could download all the submissions at once and get a zip file of all of those different PowerPoints. And then the grade posting policy is kind of the same thing. It's about manually or automatically releasing the grades. It's kind of the same thing as if you went hide grades or post grades. And again, that only refers to this particular assignment. Lastly, you can come in here and you can, if you know the grades, like say they handed it on paper, or you had it somewhere else, you can manually enter a grade here if you were using the speed grader, which I'll show you in a minute. And you can just go down the list and enter grades, or you can hit this little card icon right here, and it opens kind of a mini speed grader. And it'll tell you the student, the assignment you're looking at, and the grade they got. You can tag it as late, missing, or excused, and give feedback and a grade right here. And then you could go to the next student. So as I hit right, you'll notice it jump down to the next student, and the next student, and the next student. So I can do some grading right here, as well as provide feedback, and it's all built in. Or I can jump straight to speed grader. So you can also get to the speed grader per assignment. So I'm going to go back to the assignments, and I'm going to pick on that testing PowerPoint assignment. You'll notice here that I attached a rubric. If you don't have a rubric, it just looks like this and has the plus rubric button down here at the bottom. You can click plus rubric and give it a title, whatever makes sense to you. And then these are grading criteria. So you'll notice it just says 5 and 0. Well, if you hit this little plus in between, you can get what's between 5 and 0, which is a 3, and put in a title. And then you can flush this out as much as you want. So I can keep doing, and there's a 4, and then I want a 2, right? And I can even put in a 1. And that's okay if I have 5 points, right? But let's say, for example, I wanted to make this worth 20. So I can hit the little pencil icon and make this worth 20 points and update that. And now I don't really want to do 19, 18, 17, 16, 15 all the way down. So what I can do is hit this little range button here, and it'll give me a category of 20 to 0 because those are the only two options. And I can chunk this out however I want. So if I want to do this and give it a 10, so now I can give them a 10 to 20 and a 10, and then 20 to 10, and then a 10 to 0 option in the ranges. As well as when you're grading, if you're using this as a grading item, you can type in whatever points you want to give them. You don't actually have to use the boxes. The boxes are more for feedback. So they'll know, well, why did I get a 17? And you can have that whole description here. You know, great job, you're getting it. And you can type that all out, and that way they have a little bit more feedback, and that's the brilliance of building a rubric. The great thing about building a rubric is it may take some time initially to build this, but when you roll this over into next term, the rubric will come with it, and you don't have to rebuild it again. If you're going to use this for grading, you need to come down here and choose this box that says, I'm going to use this for grading, and you say create rubric. And you'll notice it warned me here because I made a column worth 20 points, but yet my assignment's only worth 10. So now it knows I've messed up. So I need to, oh wait, I need to change this. And I'm going to make this 10.7 and update it, and then create my rubric. And now I have a rubric attached to this assignment. Over here on the right, you can do download and upload. This is about downloading the submissions. If you have people submit like PowerPoints and Word documents, we have annotation features that I'll show you in just a second. But some people are very comfortable with the annotation features built into Word. They're really good at them. So you may want to download the submissions, annotate up all of the homework, and save them. As long as you don't change the name of the file, you can then re-upload them, and it will put them back in here for each student with all the annotations. Now, it won't grade them, but it will keep all those annotations so the students can see them. But in SpeedGrader, you can launch it, and it's a way to grade all of the students on this particular assignment. So in this particular student, he submitted a picture. You can see this here. You can grab these annotation tools, whether it's bubbles or highlighters or text, and you can write all over this or put comments out to the side, and the students will be able to see that. You can see if you've allowed them to submit multiple times, or they do submit multiple times before the due dates, you'll get this drop-down box, and you'll be able to click it and look at the different submissions that they've done over time. You may have already graded one because you were ahead of the due date, and they went ahead and submitted again because they wanted to fix some things. Now that may be by design, you know, if they're like rough draft, final draft, that kind of thing. You can look at the different submissions and download them individually. You could give them a grade by hand. Like I said, we could type in whatever you want to give them, but if you've assigned a rubric, you can click View Rubric, and it kind of gets squished over here. So you'll need to grab these little 3 dots and drag it over so you can see the whole rubric. Now you can just click on a box, and it'll give them the full points for that box. 10.7, 10, or 0. Or you can arbitrarily type in 5, and it will kind of mark the range that they fit in. You can click this little bubble here and give them feedback particular to this grading criteria. I assume in your rubric you would have multiple grading criteria, so you would give them feedback per criteria. And you'll need to save the rubric when you're finished. So when I click Save, it automatically updates their grade to what I had put into the rubric, and it shows them a summation of the rubric here. Down here is where you'd put your comments. So you could say things like nice job, if I could spell, but you have this part you have to submit as well. So you want to submit the comment, and when you do, it goes into the list here. Now students can also reply to you if they go and look at their annotations and they're like, hey, what did you mean by, there'll be a comment here, and you'll get a notification that there's been a comment from the student, and you guys can talk back and forth in this comment stream. Within the comments, you have the ability to attach things. So if you say something like, wow, you kind of totally missed the point of this assignment. I need you to, read this, and you can attach a PDF or whatever it is and do it right here in the comment field. In those cases where it's video, or maybe a video would make more sense, like in a world language course where you want to talk back to them in Spanish or back to them in Italian, you could record yourself and record the feedback in Italian so that they're getting their feedback in the other language as well. And you can keep like if this came to a grade dispute, or you just had a really good back and forth with the student, you can download the submission comments and you can get a copy of that. Once you've done all of the things that you want to do for the student, the annotations if you've done any, the rubric and the comments, and the grade, all that good stuff, you come up here and you'll see that you've graded this one student. And if you look at it, you're like, oh wow, okay, I have graded all 10 out of 10 students, so I'm done. The average score for the assignments was a 7.4, and I'm on the 6th student out of 10 in my class. You can hit the drop down and see a list of your students here, and you notice they're all checked off. If there was a student who was missing a grade, there would be a little dot right here to let you know that that student you haven't graded yet. Or you can simply cycle through them by hitting left and right. So I'm on Yahoo, so I switch, and there's Zach, and then there's another one. There's Masumi, she submitted something, so I'm going to get a preview here of whatever she submitted. I'm just going to keep cycling instead of waiting for that. So this is an example of a paper that I've annotated. So I highlighted some things, I drew on some things, and you'll see that it has a little dotted line that lets me know that I commented or I removed something on each particular one. And students will be able to see these kind of annotations and comments out to the side. All right. So I'm going to get out of SpeedGrader and back to assignments. Okay, so that was a lot of information to throw at you guys about rubrics and grading and feedback. So what I'm going to show you real quick is what the student can see. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen, and I'm going to share a different screen. So this is from a student's point of view. If they come into an assignment, and we're going to keep picking on that testing PowerPoint assignment, they would come in here. This would normally just say submit assignment, but since I've already done this before, I have the resubmit option. They'll be able to see the due date and how much it's worth, any directions you've typed in, which is what this is supposed to represent, and then the rubric that they'll be graded on. If they've been graded and they have a rubric evaluation, they can click on this and see the things that you've chosen for them and any feedback you've given them there. They'll also be able to see when they submitted last. They'll be able to download their homework if they lost a copy, all that good stuff right inside the assignment. If they want to go to their grades, you notice right here I've got 2 new grades. When I click on grades, I'll come in here and I'll be able to see all of my assignments as a student, and I can arrange them by due date or module or assignment group, all that good stuff. And if I'm looking for that particular assignment, I come down here, you'll notice it's got the blue dot because I got a new grade. I just got a 5. And you notice all these little icons down here. So I'll show you what each one of those means. So if I click that one, it tells me this assignment doesn't count towards the final grade. So it's more like a checking assignment to see where your head's at, how you're doing. So that's what the exclamation means. If I click on the little chat icon looking things, those are all the comments that I received on the assignment. If I click on the box with a check in it, that is a histograph, which will show me, let me close the other ones so it's not so confusing. It'll show me where I am in the class. It'll say, okay, here's where the average was, and this is what I scored. So it kind of gives me a gut check on how well I'm doing compared to the rest of the class without giving away the other students' grades. And then finally, this little clipboard looking icon will give me my rubric evaluation and show me where I scored. And if you as a teacher had provided any comments, that would all be listed here as well. If I click on the assignment itself as a student, I'll be able to see what I submitted. So this was the picture image that I submitted. The comments listed here, the grade I got, I can show the rubric to see what I did on the evaluation and who it was graded by. And I can look at the feedback. If I click on this, it'll show me a preview of the picture. And if the teacher had annotated anything on here, comments, circles, squares, squiggly lines, highlights, I would be able to see all that right here. As a student, I can comment back to you and say, I didn't understand what you meant by blah, blah, blah. And as a student too, I can do a media comment, which is audio or video recording, so I can talk to you in that foreign language, or attach a file and say, I'm so sorry, I meant to submit this, please have mercy on me, whatever the case is. And when I save that, that'll ping you as an instructor that there's been a new comment on that assignment. All right, so that's kind of the student view of assignments and kind of what their grade scale, what their grading looks like. We've got just a few minutes left. Are there any questions? Okay, I don't see anything in the chat and no one has spoken up, so I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting. Again, in the chat at the very top, I put a link to all of the trainings that we're offering both today and tomorrow. We have a ton. Steve and I are offering at least 16, and there are at least 20-something others. So you should be able to find a topic you're looking for, as far as Canvas and Zoom and MySMU, even those kind of things. So I hope you take advantage. Thanks for coming by,